Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am your Minister of Truth, Count Stephen Sparrow, and this is Berlin Today. Let's get right into this week's news. We begin today with a deadly conclusion to a dispute over justice. Erdogan Voss has emerged victorious from an honor duel to the death against Joseph Bergen. The confrontation reportedly began after Voss accused Bergen of deliberately refusing to pursue justice against a rogue member of the KG, a case in which Voss himself had been attempting to bring the accused before the courts. Voss alleged that Bergen intentionally prevented the justice he was seeking from being administered, ultimately leading Voss to challenge him to a duel to the death. But Bergen disputed that accusation. Before the battle, Bergen maintained that he was not attempting to circumvent justice, but was instead attempting to administer it through what he believed was a more appropriate method and procedure. The dispute was ultimately settled the oldest way possible, with one man left standing. Erdogan Voss won the duel, and Joseph Bergen was killed. The entire confrontation was captured by our cameras. Roll it.
Okay.
Whenever I fire my pistol, we start. 3,
Come on, Bergen. You can
2, 1.
We believe in you.
Let's go, Voss, let's go!
Let's go!
Oh my god, this is truly brilliant.
We
Truly brilliant. Lovely work. Bergen the Terrible. Bergen the Terrible has vanquished from this world.
Where's
Horrible, decrepit, vile, and
Voss, why did you challenge Bergen?
Because she let a man who tried to murder me walk free.
Oh boy. We don't have a
She
Richterpräsident
belittled
now.
my
You know,
honor.
there's
Sorry,
no
they
chief.
belittled my honor. They called me a liar. They disregarded my word as a Grand Admiral and a Grand Duke and threw it in the bin.
Our biggest story of the week is a saga of political drama and bloodshed, all beginning with new leadership in the Empire. Theodore Walsh has been appointed Order Marshal of the Imperial Security Corps and Minister of the Interior. The appointments give Walsh substantial authority over both the Empire's internal administration and its security apparatus. Following this, the Imperial government has announced sweeping emergency measures intended to restore efficiency during wartime. The Federal Council has been suspended from its normal legislative duties and will now meet only once a month to approve the federal budget. At the same time, the new Order Marshal has been named acting head of the Imperial ruling party, while the plenipotentiary of administration assumes the additional position of deputy chief of the German police. The government says the changes are designed to eliminate bureaucracy and give ministers greater authority to act quickly during the present emergency. Because of this, a party leadership dispute has erupted. Following the resignation of Hans Gruber, a new decree announced major changes to the party. Theodore Walsh was declared consul of the White Rose Coalition, while the position of chief of the Imperial Chancellery was merged into the new office. But the appointment did not last long before facing serious opposition. War Marshal August von Gneisenau has issued a blistering response to the attempted reorganization, rejecting the idea that the Imperial ruling party can simply be transformed into the White Rose Coalition. The War Marshal argued that only the Emperor can restore the title of consul and claims the Imperial ruling council lacked the authority to make the appointment. He further alleges that several senior party officials were not consulted or even present for the meeting that supposedly approved these changes. The War Marshal has declared the entire Order Marshal publication null and void and called for the Imperial Armed Forces to return to the political scene. He has also proposed the creation of political commissars operating under joint party and military authority. Despite the accusations, the War Marshal ended his statement by offering what he called a, quote, olive branch, inviting the Order Marshal to meet with him and Party Executive Director Victor von Mannheim to discuss the party's leadership crisis. But While the political dispute continued behind closed doors, tension between the Ministry of the Interior and the Imperial Armed Forces spilled violently into the streets of Berlin. In an attempt to resolve the growing confrontation, senior officials from both sides gathered at the Berlin casino for talks. Those negotiations, however, quickly deteriorated. As talks continued inside the casino, multiple members of the military began surrounding the building. Military officers already inside were reportedly warned that unless the forces outside withdrew and an agreement was reached, people inside the casino would be shot. The threat was carried out. Multiple individuals were executed during the confrontation, including beloved military senior official Malum Kaido. The aftermath was even more grim. Following multiple deaths, including Kaido's, many members of the armed forces, specifically the Panzers, hung themselves from the top of the Reichstag. The incident left the entire military reeling, with the evening ending in what officials described as a devastating blow to military leadership and organization. With casualties mounting and its leadership structure badly shaken, the military has begun the difficult process of rebuilding. Administrative positions are being reorganized, while officers and generals are being replaced and restructured following the disastrous confrontation in Berlin. The incident marks the most violent escalation yet in the growing struggle between the Ministry of the Interior and the Imperial Armed Forces. The Ministry of Justice issued a sweeping legal determination declaring that the attempted restructuring violated imperial law and established constitutional practice. Among the problems cited, the proposed renaming of the Imperial ruling party, the creation of the consul position, and the transfer of the party tribunal into the police and security courts. The Justice Minister's ruling is blunt. The Order Marshal is prohibited from using the titles Consul, Chief of the Imperial ruling party, or Chairman of the Imperial ruling party without lawful appointment by the Crown. The Imperial ruling party is to retain its name. The chief of the party is reinstated, and the party tribunal is restored. The Justice Minister isn't stopping there. The chief of the police and security courts has been ordered to provide records of its judges in criminal convictions dating back to June 15th. The purpose? To determine whether trials were conducted by individuals who were not legally authorized to practice law within the empire. A special prosecutor has been appointed to investigate. The party executive director has also been ordered to produce attendance records, voting tallies, and minutes from the controversial July 19th council meeting that started this whole entire debacle. In other words, Berlin has gone from a political dispute to a full-blown investigation into whether the meeting that started all of this was even properly constituted. But just when it appears the dispute could escalate no further, the Imperial ruling party has announced another reversal. A new agreement has been reached to revitalize the Imperial ruling party. The White Rose Coalition name and the title of consul have been officially struck down, and the previous document establishing them has been declared null and void. The War Marshal's so-called olive branch has also been declared null and void. The party has now begun rebuilding its leadership. Victor Mannheim is affirmed as party executive director. Hans Hamburg remains party treasurer, and Dr. Marcus Black von Sachs is reaffirmed as organization leader. Ernest Baume is appointed deputy organization leader and ideological council leader. Theodor Heckler has also been appointed acting chief of the party security group. Even Bertram Zinkel's resignation as CAG president has been accepted and already replaced with new CAG president Lester Green. And finally, tonight, the party has announced an internal investigation of its own. An inquisition will be held, with the Grand Inquisitor and his High Inquisitors tasked with identifying those blamed for allowing the party to falter and fail to such a degree. The decree concludes with a familiar phrase: "The White Rose miracle shall last 1,000 years." In closing in this story, let's recap. A new government structure was announced. The Imperial ruling party was reorganized. The War Marshal objected. The Justice Minister intervened. The courts began investigating. The party reversed the reorganization. And now an inquisition has been announced, all in the span of a few days. In other news tonight, the chief of the NSB has found himself in trouble after reportedly hurling a series of insults at the renowned and well-respected Legate Rudel. The chief was subsequently detained and brought before the office of the War Marshal to answer for his conduct, but the matter quickly became a battle of its own. The NSB chief's commanding officer, Interior Minister Theodore Walsh himself, arrived to seek a resolution. What followed was a lengthy back and forth of ego, accusations, and absolutely no compromise. Rudel demanded the chief be shot. Others argued that perhaps the more appropriate punishment would be to send him to the front lines. Fortunately for the chief of the NSB, neither proposal prevailed. An agreement was eventually reached. A fine was imposed for his insults, and a public apology was ordered to be written. For more on this remarkable display of bureaucratic yap, let's take a look at the footage of the debacle.
So I was very kind. I
I'll
was just
apologize
asking
if
for
you
you
want
not
like
to
it,
be head
but
of the
I
NSB.
didn't point any insults your
no,
way like
you're
it.
you're gonna stop talking. You're gonna stop talking. I was very nice, and I asked you not to be head of the NSB in one rank demotion, giving you a chance to be able to be brought back up. Maybe you learn your lesson. Maybe you could make this into a story where you could do better. But since you've said that in front of all these people and you've acted arrogant as a prick, I'm going to shoot you in the head now with this Walther PPK, and
It's
I'm going to
horrible. Don't do
ensure
that.
that you burn in Tartarus. Oh, I shouldn't do
No,
that?
don't do that.
Tell me, why shouldn't I
Don't
do
do
that?
that.
Because obviously you're a rabid dog who can't control his mouth. You have no thoughts in this head of yours, and I guarantee if I wasted the bullet on it, a brain wouldn't come out the backside.
I'll
That-
take
that
him in the
works too,
VSK.
but
No,
we
no,
need to do this fast.
no, General
Order
the
Marshal,
Cavalry.
you're
I'll
about to
take
have
him and
the
I'll
field
handle him.
marshal.
You're not
behind
dragging
you.
him, Order
you're
Marshal.
He's
You're
going
not
to
dragging
be
him.
The prisoner. This is the prisoner.
Order
Excuse
Marshal,
me.
do you want
Excuse
my
me.
men to
Order
surround you?
Marshal.
He's our
Order Marshal.
prisoner, not yours.
He's your
Use your
prisoner.
brain, please.
He's
Do
your
not let this be a
prisoner.
hill to
He is
die
the
on.
prisoner.
You're
No, I'm
a
not
good
gonna
man.
wait for
I
you to
don't
say
want you
something.
dead.
Speak to your
I want
boss.
the guy who insulted
For
me
an
dead.
Speak to your
Hold on,
boss
hold on.
right now.
If a resolution isn't made about him dying, because obviously the Order Marshal doesn't want that, then what are you guys trying to achieve?
Look,
Yesterday, yesterday he insulted myself and my father. I think he'd fit better on the Eastern Front.
That's
You
absolutely
know
untrue.
what? That's even better. Oh, everything's untrue in your eyes. You know what?
Yeah, no,
I like
no.
that.
Put him in a
No,
military
no,
battalion.
absolutely not.
Let's get
Put
him
him
in
in,
the IA. Let's get him inside of a nice uniform for the Eastern Front. We're going to be sending him there. Herr Lutz will make sure that he's
That's horrible.
brought
I
there
don't wanna go to
before
the
his
Eastern Front.
father
Don't do
as
that.
well, so he can swear his oath to the Kaiser and to the IEU. And ensure that he's loyal to the military and to our great Kaiser. And yeah, I think this is the best way. If he's going to insult people as important as Herr
The next
Dietrich
train to the Eastern
Wolfson,
Front is in 2.5 hours. What do you want me to...
Well, he can get drilled. How about we get some officer to drill him how to be in the military?
You want me to drill him?
I think a public apology in
Okay,
200k is very fair.
Oh,
He's
it's the
keeping his
professor.
rank and everything.
I'll do 300,000. That's fine.
And the
Okay,
public apology.
and then the public apology has to be released to the entire
Yeah,
nation.
I already agreed to a public apology. That's fine.
Finally, our last story of the day, moving away from the political crises in Berlin, the highly publicized Trial of the Seven has concluded, and Lord Killian Rust, now Archduke Killian Rust, emerged victorious. The full documentary covering the trial is available now through the Truth Ministry archives. That's it for this week's episode of Berlin Today. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm your host, Count Stephen Sparrow from the Ministry of Truth. See you on the next episode.